Ladies and gentlemen, in this RedGamingTech.com video we have some news on the Xbox 720, and apparently the fact you'll be able to install games onto the hard drive and then no longer need the disk, and indeed an always-on type of component. Now, we do know that the next generation of Xbox is likely to have at least a 500GB hard drive, which makes sense because, after all, game installs are becoming increasingly large, especially as we're going to be seeing, of course, increased texture quality and everything else that we expect for a next generation console. After all, if you look at, for example, the install sizes of most PC games, you're looking at least 8GB, and some of them go up to 15 or so. But with the next generation of Xbox, apparently there are leaks which are basically pointing towards the fact that the console will not be able to play games from the disc itself. Furthermore, it's kind of giving more credence to the always on, always connected rumor that we've been hearing around for quite a while now. Now, always on, always connected may block some users, for example, the couple who do not have internet access. But to be honest with you, in 2013 late or 2014, whichever date we see the console released, most people are going to have a reliable, fast internet connection. Now, this does tie into what I was saying the other day about PC DRM. I do have one slight problem with this. If your internet connection, for example, goes down in your home, or, for example, you take it around a friend's house, or you're on the move, or what have you, then you could be having issues. Regardless, it does have a few benefits of the fact that obviously you'll be able to install the game to the hard drive. Now, obviously, this does fly in the face of what Sony have stated. Sony have said that their system is going to primarily use optical media for their games, and most games will have download options, but because they don't think that many people have fast enough connections to download the games, because obviously some of these suckers are going to be, 20GB big, for example, they figure it's better to stay optical. Now, Microsoft, no doubt, will probably push the download option more, but they're also going to allow you to pretty much buy the game, install it, and then the disc is going to be pretty much, you could use it as a coaster if you want. Now, rumours have been going around for quite a while that Microsoft are intending to block pre-owned games. There's several reasons for this. The primary one, of course, is that they simply don't get any more cash if you buy the game secondhand. They get no slice of the pie or whatsoever. And obviously, that's bad. That's one of the reasons, of course, a lot of games developers now are starting to make it so that you have to buy an online pass if you do buy the game secondhand. For example, I believe even Mortal Kombat has this feature. PCs, of course, have had this for quite a while with serial numbers as well. So how will this work on a console? Well, assuming these rumours are true, and after all, they may not be, there are a couple of ways that I can see. One, it'll be the PC-like, and you'll have to actually enter a serial code and so forth. Personally, I don't really see that working. Another option is that, quite simply put, the code, a unique code, is installed onto the disk, and your console also has a unique code, and the two tally up, and then they link together. For example, let's say your console has the serial number of 123, your game has the serial number of ABC. Well, ABC 123 are now tied together. So if you try to put it on your friend's system, it simply won't register, and so forth. So the only problem with that, of course, is if you're taking your game around a friend's house to show them, you're pretty boned. You basically won't be able to do it. Now, obviously, there are options. For example, it could be possibly tied to an account. For example, how Steam is on a PC. In other words, you can have multiple Steam installs on your PCs, which is great, for example, if you happen to have like a gaming laptop and you happen to have like a gaming PC. That's good. Or, for example, if you happen to be going around your girlfriend's for a couple of days or what have you, then and she's got a PC, you get the general idea. Remember that Xbox 360, you can actually download your profile, although to be honest with you, I think it's a bit messy and slow. Although I haven't used the Xbox in a while and done that, but still, last time I saw it, it was pretty slow and not really the most intuitive thing in terms of speed anyway. But regardless, if you are able to do this, then fantastic. The only problem, of course, is that if, for example, you can take your disc round, Little Johnny's house and then use your account to, log on, that wouldn't be so bad. I do worry if Microsoft are going this route, because of one particular reason. I think it would lose them quite a few sales to Sony. This is particularly true if you've got a couple of Xbox 720s potentially in the house. For example, when I was growing up, I had friends, and they were basically both brothers, and they both usually bought the same console twice. So, one would be in each of the other's rooms. So there were two systems in the house, but obviously they would basically share games quite a lot of the time as well. It's just sometimes one would want to play game A and one would want to play game B, so it makes sense to have two systems. However, I'm pretty sure that they wouldn't really want to buy a system that, well, pretty much limited you to only be able to play it on one system. And you could argue, of course, if it's in the same house, it's not so much of a big deal. Obviously, all of this is completely unsubstantiated, and if Microsoft have any sense, they won't be pushing the whole blocking second-hand thing. Now, bear in mind, there's a couple of reasons that, as a PC gamer, we don't really get so upset about the no second-hand thing. Now, certain games, they do support secondhand, particularly the older ones or the indie titles. But newer games on PC, you don't. If you've got a Steam account and you activate Title A on that, that's pretty much you. You're not able to give it away to someone else. However, I'll give you an example. I actually just pre-ordered Bioshock Infinite. I was really naughty and kind of left it late. But I ordered it from, I don't know if to drop the name, Green Man Gaming. I'll just drop the name, why the hell not, because they've got a really good offer on, so I might as well. I'm not affiliated with them, by the way, guys. Kind of funny enough, I just got an email from them in Outlook. I'm promised that was actually real, but anyway, as I said, I'm not affiliated with them, but they've got an absolutely insane deal right now, and that's basically that you get Bioshock Infinite, Bioshock 1, a game of your choice, which is, I don't remember all of them, but I know the Darkness 2 is in there, and a couple of others as well. And you get XCOM Enemy Unknown, all for £24. And I kid you not, that's like 4 games for $24. And obviously you don't normally get to pay that, but, a lot of the time you can get titles like the new Resident Evil 6, you can get for like £16 on certain sites. And what I'm basically saying is, okay, we're not paying, we're not able to play secondhand games, but the games are so bloody cheap, like on Steam sales. Steam sales, they're like, what, £15 for secondhand titles. To be honest with you, I have so many games on my Steam list that I have not even installed. I have so many Prince of Persias, various other games that I've not even gotten past the first couple of levels. That's how bad it is. I mean, I've got tons of games. I've got Dishonored that I haven't even completed yet, and various other games. My point being that the games are so cheap, you don't mind the fact that you've got no second-hand option. On consoles, it's going to really bite them in the butt. I mean, maybe if they can convince, maybe if Microsoft could say to, the developers, hey, because we've blocked this on our games, block games being resold, we can lower the price, then maybe people will be more understanding. If you could buy, as for example, a title in the UK, second new on a console is like 35 to 40 odd pounds. Usually around the 40 mark. If, for example, it went down to 32 for new titles, people will probably be less upset. But if you're forced to pay, new games, I'm pretty sure they're going to lose quite a few to Sony. The one benefit, however, of this is the fact that it's going to be on, of course, hard disk. And hard disks are great for a couple of reasons. Now, we're fairly certain that it's going to have a 6-speed Blu-ray drive, which makes sense. It's about 3 times faster, of course, than the PS3's drive, and of course, PS4 is using the same 6-speed drive as well. The problem, of course, with Blu-ray or any digital media, or optical media, not digital media, is that it's still a hell of a lot slower than an actual hard drive. An actual hard drive can, of course, install games a hell of a lot quicker, or shall I say, load games a hell of a lot quicker. Not as quick as, say, an SSD, which obviously is a type of hard drive, but SSDs, of course, are considerably faster still. But a mechanical hard drive is still going to be a lot faster than a Blu-ray drive, because sometimes, depending on how the game's created, it could need to be uncompressed or whatever into the RAM. Obviously, if there are part installs, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, a lot of the 360 games really did benefit quite heavily if you installed them onto the hard drive, and indeed the PS3 also had games as well that you could install. Of course, with the PS3 you didn't even have a choice with certain titles. For example, Metal Gear Solid 4, it would just simply install part of it into your hard drive, because obviously the optical drive was so bloody slow, and therefore you had to sit there watching Snake smoke for like 5 minutes, and believe me, that got very old. That was about the time where you go make yourself, a cup of coffee or something, and then come back and then realise you've got enough time to drink that coffee, make another cup of coffee, and then go to the toilet because you've drank all that coffee, come back, and then it's still got 70% left to go. Okay, maybe I slightly exaggerate, but it was pretty darn slow. So, if this is true, and who knows if it is at this point, one of the things that we do know is Microsoft are making moves, shall we say, and it's seeming increasingly likely that there's going to be an announcement in April. We don't actually have a date yet, but we do know it's going to be some point late April. And obviously, that's a good time. They've left it a couple of months at least now. I can't remember the exact date of the Sony event. I believe it was something like the 20th of February. Or 19th of February, so obviously it's left at least a couple of months. The leak, by the way, also specifies there's going to be a new high-fidelity Kinect sensor, which is required for the system to operate. The leak continues that the Durango controller will make the best-in-class Xbox 360 controller even better. It will have low-latency wireless connectivity to the console and improved ergonomics. System interactions that use the controller will be simplified to make them easier for non-core gamers. This is definitely leading more towards the Xbox 360 being in the center of the living room rather than towards gaming, and that, as I've said before, does worry me. One of the things that I really did like about the Sony conference, there were numerous things, and although I have been fairly critical about the specifications, and I have said that although they're very impressive for a console, and I have said about, they're not amazing in terms of the performance, I have said that I've been very impressed with the way that Sony have gotten everything working. I've been very impressed with the specifications in terms of they're going to certainly allow a lot more integration with PCs, and the other thing as well is that they have had very good games. Now, I'm not saying the games have been amazing. I'm not saying that they're going to, revolutionize gaming, the launch games after all, but those games do look very impressive, and they did make me think to myself, they look bloody good, and I want the PlayStation 4. More to the point, Sony really hit home that it's a gaming machine first. They were categorical on that they did mention the PlayStation Eye and so on, but they really hit home. And so far, it's very early days, of course, with the Xbox 720, and I don't like to doom any console. I don't like to say that, this is anything wrote off. I mean, despite, for example, the fact that we know that the Wii U is selling pretty bad at the moment, I've said that most Nintendo machines of late have sold pretty awfully, especially the handheld, shall I say, and then they've really started to rally, especially as bigger titles have been released. What we do know about the Xbox 720 that's kind of worrying me is even founders of the Xbox, the original Xbox concept, they've actually gone on record and they've said that the problem that Microsoft are having right now is they're really alienating the developers for various reasons, and more I'm talking about third-party, smaller developers, indie developers in other words, and they're also alienating a lot of really hardcore gamers because a lot of guys just want to, they don't care, they don't give a jot about the Kinect. That's not to say that the Kinect won't have a nice possible features, for example, web browsing or just general system operations. It's kind of nice for that, UI navigation and so on. I can imagine that would be nice, and at the very least a good novelty to show around and show off to your friends. But to be honest, if I'm playing a game like, for example, the new Tomb Raider or what have you, I just I don't even give a crap about the Kinect. I do care about the games, and I really do like Microsoft systems. I was a massive fan of the Xbox 360 and the original Xbox, particularly the original Xbox. I really loved it. I have to admit. But one of the problems that Microsoft are definitely going to be facing, of course, is Sony had a phenomenal conference, and it does slightly worry me that if they are saying about this Kinect thing, not Kinect thing, I'm sorry, about this always-on requirement. Having said that, to be honest with you, despite the fact that, honestly, people might be a bit upset about the always-on, 99% of the time it won't affect you. Most of the time, most people have a very good internet connection. And even if you've got a slow internet connection, for example, even if you have a really slow internet connection, I'm even talking like 512 KB a second here, which is very slow. The fact of the matter is, they're giving you the, disk to install the games initially. So after you've done that, it's not too much of a big deal. But yeah, I'm not going to kind of really heavily criticize them on this, because obviously this is completely unknown and we don't know really what's going to happen. We know the leak is from some point last year, but the thing is, in development cycles, anything can happen in 12 months or however long this is. It could be 6 months, and technically that would be last year, but anything can happen in development cycles, so I wouldn't really start dooming and glooming yet. I think ultimately what we do want to see from the both systems is a really good catalogue of games. Microsoft do have one other small problem right now, of course, and that's the specifications of the system seem a little bit worse than the PS4. I'm not talking abysmally worse, and obviously, once again, these are unconfirmed as well, but we do know that there's less memory bandwidth to play with here. That does somewhat concern me also. However, I will be doing a complete set of videos. I've actually been doing a lot of research recently, and you guys have probably noticed I've been fairly quiet, actually, which is unusual for me in my analysis videos, and there are a couple of reasons. I've been doing a lot of research on the various architectures of CPUs on the Jaguar, as well as Bobcat, and I've been looking at the differences on IPC and well as the computing power, and I really want to try and figure out just how much computing power the PlayStation 4 and possibly the Xbox 720, although it's probably less likely that I'll be able to figure that out since the specifications aren't exactly announced. Trying to figure out just how much computing power they've actually got, and I'm also trying to figure out just how much the memory bandwidth is going to be hurting the Xbox 720, but it's quite a tall order because I've been extremely busy with everything else. So, yeah, hopefully it's going to be a very interesting one. But, before I forget, and this is completely off topic, I will be making a vlog probably this weekend, but I just want to announce it here because these videos usually get quite a few views. I will be, well, should I say we will be putting out a competition very soon on RGT, which is going to be a very, very cool. Spooner Kipper is donating possibly one of the absolute coolest Final Fantasy related prizes you could ever imagine in your life. It's really awesome, and it's going to be for the 1 million views. So when we hit 1 million views, it's going to be shown. The competition is going to be uploaded, and it's incredible. I really want it. It's not exactly one of a kind, but you're not going to be able to really easily buy it either. So it's pretty awesome. Anyway, so yeah, if you're interested in Final Fantasy stuff and you're not a subscriber and you happen to just randomly come across this video, do subscribe and check it out on the 1 million. I'm not saying it'll be uploaded literally on the 1 million because, as I said before, we're in the UK and we all work and everything else, but it will be uploaded around the 1 million mark, and it was pretty awesome. Yeah, that covers about everything I wanted to in this particular video. I'm pretty tired, unfortunately, so if I've been a bit rambly, I can only apologise. Anyway, hopefully you've enjoyed the video, and I will see you soon. Take care, bye for now, and have a good night.